Here we go. All right. So, a new hotness has entered the battlefield called EarlyNinja. Now, viewers and listeners of the podcast know we're not necessarily warmed up to early access games for the simple fact that they tend to a lot of times fail. We've been through this all before. I don't want to cover it again. Early Ninja is a Kickstarter that believes they've come up with a solution. Here's the short of it. So if you're a developer, you go to Early Ninja and say, "Hey, I got this early access game. I want you to not publish. I want you to be someone like a Steam like place to host this game." So what Early Ninja does is they say, "Okay, here are um, milestones for you. When
Ah, I like this already.
when people donate, when people buy your game, we retain the money. If you reach a milestone, we'll dole out a certain portion of that money to you to work on it. If you miss a milestone, we keep the money. If you go to completion, we will give you 100% of the money that has been accrued from people buying your game." Um, on the surface, this is good for us. Like, this is exactly what we wanted. But on the back end, developers hate this. Not necessarily because they can't, they can't do the early access thing and steal your money and run away with it. There's
That is true.
That's
but
true.
legitimate
But
developers also hate it for legitimate reasons.
correct. I just okay. So I'll post this in the show notes. There's a big long reason. This is from Polygon, by the way. There's a lot of people have chimed in on it, but okay, stop playing. I'm done with you. Stop. Work in progress. Work in progress.
So I'm going to guess they take a cut of the money, and developers don't like that.
They take.
Well, they do, but
they
that
take-
isn't actually the issue.
They take 15%
Okay.
Of
Yeah.
whatever you make.
I mean,
But the problem is, so an early access game goes into early access because they say, here's 80%. We need money to get to the extra, 100%. And so the money is front loaded. I give you money in hopes that you complete the game. Early Ninja runs counter to that. It says, we'll take the money and we'll just dole it out to you until you make it, which doesn't make any sense
As
because
you
the
hit
reason why you
milestone.
go into early access is because you want the money now, not later.
Yeah. Basically, they're going in the wrong order. You reach a milestone. Basically, you pay your studio a bunch of money, do a bunch of work to reach the milestone, and then they give you the money that you needed to pay them.
Correct.
So
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's fine as long as you can set the milestones. Like, if you work with them and be like, all right, we're at 60% completion on this project. We have a playable demo. We can put that out on the store so people can get into early access on it. We put some money down and have like the next milestone be something achievable in the next week or two, and then have another milestone achievable in a week or two.
Yeah.
If you could segment it like that instead of it being like, all right, we get our first paycheck from Early Ninja in 3 months. Yeah, I would totally say that sounds terrible for the developers. But if it was on a milestone cycle that was really reasonable for them, I think that's fine. But again, what happens then if you're like, okay, we need to add this like level in 2 weeks, and then
Right.
you have a huge crash that happens with it, and you're just not able to.
besides that, like, if things change, like, 'cause that's the whole point. Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to get the point of early access and or Kickstarter. When it does what it's supposed to do, because I still have faith that it can be great.
Mhm.
It just often isn't. It's supposed to be the developers essentially bringing in the audience of the game to be like, hey, this is where we're at, help us finish. And then there's transparency and there's back and forth, like, okay, these things change, stuff happened, we need to rework this pipeline, so that's why we're pushing this back and moving this forward. You guys cool with that? Okay, cool, work with us, we like you guys, sweet, money, and we'll finish the game, yay. Like, you have your Early Ninja in the middle going, you need to get to milestone 3 before you get any more money. Like, and that, it's not just like that's like not ideal. That's everything that makes the game finish or not. Like, and you're putting that fully, like, you have to sign away your right to any of that. Like, we can't have, like, we as the developer can't have any of the money unless Early Ninja gives it to us. And them giving the right amount of money to us at the right time when we need it determines whether or not we're capable of finishing the game. So it's just like going, okay, sure, I will pay you to hold this knife to my throat. Like, it's really, like, there's no incentive. Also, there's a whole bunch of legal stuff to where like some lawyers came in, which apparently might be a foreign concept to Legal Ninja or to Early Ninja from the sound of it, because apparently them being capable of doing any of this legally might or might not really be a thing. Like, it's really weird gray area. But also as one line that Polygon put in there that summed up is, I'm gonna find it just so I can not misquote it. But
I'd say while you're looking for that, I guess what people need is kind of reassurance that they aren't going to just take the money and run. That's what everyone's worried about, because we've seen it happen a million times with a million games, and it is scary. You're like, okay, this is a cool concept. I would love to see it come to fruition. Here, take my money, and me, Fry handing his money out, and then you don't get a game.
Yeah.
So I understand that, and I kind of feel where they're coming from, but maybe what we just need is some kind of like certification where if you are a developer and you say, I want to have early access, you have to join this like group, and you're like part of their certified group. And if you don't make your game, then you lose that certification. And then people would know, hey, this person's not part of the certified early access group. They're probably a shady developer.
Yeah.
Maybe, but that's like my most outside of like doing this where you're controlling the money in some way. I don't know how you're supposed to keep people from taking the money and run.
Yeah.
I would agree. So basically, right now, word of mouth is what you've got, and I think some sort of structured oversight, a third-party organization, could make that a lot more efficient. Of course, then you centralize it, and that, besides making it much more efficient, also makes bribery much more efficient, and makes corruption much easier, which I wish wasn't a problem, but it is.
Right.
Found the line, though, that I was trying to say before.
Go ahead.
This one kind of sums it up. Early Ninja is describing a service that is part publisher, part consultancy, and part storefront. This is enough to tie anyone in knots.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing. Like, they're trying to be three different things, and it's not really also all that clear if they know how to be any of them.
Right.
And then there's the whole, like, whether or not they're really competent while they have the knife to your throat. Promising that it'll be okay.
Right.
Like, it's just really...
And I appreciate what Early Ninja does, because they threw out a stat like 3 out of 4 games in early access just aren't released. There was a study, there's a link in the Polygon article from GameIndustry.biz. They did this report and they researched it, and about 3 out of 4 games just aren't released out of early access. So I understand that we need some checks and balances somewhere in place for consumers. The problem is that I don't think we need Early Ninja. I think Good Old Games or Steam need to do that. I don't think we need another intermediary to do that job.
That's true. I guess if it was like, so Steam has a developer want to put a game on their platform and they're going to release it in early access. And I guess, milestones can be pushed forward and back. The field goal can move or maybe just completely change into something else. So you don't want to tie it down too much. But I would assume if your developer for that game hasn't posted an update or, anything in a couple months, it might be reasonable to just put that project on hold so more people don't spend money on it. Revoke the ability for people to put money on it.
Yeah. Temporarily, just put on the storefront, like in place of the buy early access button, just put this game has been temporarily removed from early access purchasable. Like, just let them know. And like, I don't think that's that big of a deal, because then if the developer's like, oh shit, guys, we didn't do this thing and Steam has got us locked, we need to do the thing, and then they do the thing, and Steam is like, cool, you're good now, and they
Or
post on the
at
forums
least a
an
thing.
apology.
Even if you can't
Yeah.
do the thing, just make sure you're putting updates out there. You're adding content in, you're updating it, or keeping in contact with your community at all. Because a lot
Yeah.
of those games, the developer is deep in the woods trying to fix all their bugs and get the game working,
Yeah.
but they forget
Yeah.
to tell that to anyone. So
So
they're sitting there for like 5 months and people don't know what's going on.
so I want to. Corey mentioned something about removing games that are abandoned in early access. Do you guys remember the early access game Towns? Does that ring a bell at all?
No.
I'm not.
It was a game. It was the No Man's Sky back in the day. It was like we're gonna do all this like isometric. They wanted to do like a Diablo style thing. They wanted to do. It was a huge project, and so everyone jumped on the bandwagon and bought the early access game, and it made a ton. It made a couple million just from early access alone. Um, and the developer abandoned it. Like they publicly said, "Hey, we can't work on this anymore because of whatever reason." But the kicker is
We're
the
too busy swimming in giant pools. Of
but the kicker is the game is I just checked it out. The game is still on Steam and you can still purchase it. Even though the game is abandoned. The developers come out and said that this game is no longer going to be worked on anymore. Like that is a
Yeah,
problem.
Steam
That
in
is a
ge-
huge
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
And for
Steam in general has a
$15.
Yeah.
yes. Steam in general has adopted a very, or as from the start pretty much had taken a very hands-off sort of thing with developers, which I can get the reasoning behind it. Like they're a platform, they're a store. We're not gonna be the government of the internet to dictate gamedom.
Right.
Especially when most of your revenue comes from like EA and BioWare and stuff. You're not gonna try and tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So, but I think there is probably a middle ground where you do anything, and
Yeah.
it's helpful.
Yeah.
At minimum, reactively.
Yes.
Especially since the entire concept of early access, I think, is basically a Steam thing. Outside of that, it would have been like paid betas. That's like the closest thing you
Yeah.
could do. And most people do just like registering kind of for betas. You hardly ever have to like buy it. I think for a while there, people were packaging betas into other games and be like, hey, when you buy this game, you get to have the beta for this other game.
Yeah,
and then you're
yeah.
like, oh, get me to drop $50 on this so I can get a demo of this game. Okay, whatever. But they kind of pioneered the early access. And yeah, there was a lot of games that used it. I mean, specifically like
Eric's playing
Minecraft.
Kerbal Space Program is a good example.
Yeah, Kerbal.
Yeah.
Darkest
There's a ton of
Darkest
games
Dungeon. Yeah.
that wouldn't have been possible without this project. So I don't think anyone wants to see it go away.
Definitely.
But yeah, there needs to be some kind of like curation for it where we can go, okay, this project came out. It like, let's look at Towns here. It released on November 7th, 2012. Not released, but it went to early access then. And it's $15. And it's still up on there even though they're not updating it at all. I think somewhere between there and not having it at all is a reasonable spot where we can go, okay, this game hasn't been updated in X amount of time. Let's get in contact with the developer, ask them what's going on, and if we don't get a response or a good reason, just take their button off. I know that's like Steam's cookie jar, and people want to come in there and grab it, and they're like, oh, if we close the button, then they won't give us money anymore. Yeah, I kind of get that, but at the same time, you are kind of ruining your own platform with
Yeah.
this. It's
Exactly.
a cancer, and we need to get rid of it.
Yes. Yeah. To wrap it back to EarlyNinja, I can easily be accused of being overly trusting and overly optimistic, as you may have noticed on this show. That is my shtick here. I am the optimistic guy, while these two schmucks rant about how everything sucks.
Was that our
But-
dynamic? I think I'm doing my part pretty well, though.
But that said, some folks are crying out that EarlyNinja is a scam. They're swindlers. They're just trying to take your money. I am giving them the benefit of a doubt, and this is kind of a really double ultra backhanded compliment, as it were. But I don't think they're scam artists or swindlers.
No, I don't either.
I think frankly, I don't think they're competent enough to be that. I think EarlyNinja is like a really great idea that you should have stopped and gotten sober and then realized, maybe not.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
what I feel like. 'Cause like we sitting here have basically just come up with our own version of EarlyNinja, just making Steam do it instead. But like, we're not actually gonna go out and kickstart this shit. Like, we know that we're just like three drunk idiots on the internet. They need that self-awareness. I think EarlyNinja lacks self-awareness. They don't know how high they are.
And I
That's the
think
problem.
even if they take EarlyNinja and say, okay, we're not going to be a Steam or a Good Old Games because that's dumb. We're not going to hold your money and be a pseudo publisher because that's dumb. Okay, so
Yeah.
instead, we're going to become an agency like the ESA. We're going to say, hey, we will scour through all the early access games and say, give a rating on a confidence rating on what we think doing like how many times the publisher gotten to their community, how long have they been in early access, are they doing DLC and still in early access, looking at you, Ark survived, like things like that.
Mhm.
That is a good idea. Like, give us money to be a body to investigate this. Yes, I am all up for that. Take my money. Why aren't you doing it now? Don't be this pseudo publisher thing, because we don't need that.
Yeah, and it's probably not legal either, according to people who know about law who aren't me. Also, though, on the note of that, again, this is a great idea, and now you need to go, okay, we're going to become this agency to, monitor and accredit the early access community. Now, can we hire a bunch of lawyers to make sure we're not doing things we're not supposed to and getting sued, and 85 temps to actually
Do
slog
that,
through
yeah.
9,000 early access games and make sure all of them meet all of these criteria, because logistics are also important besides just idea. Like, this is we're at the idea guy stage of game development, equivalent to making this an actual company. It's like, I got this
Yeah.
idea for a game. Like, that's where we're at. You need everything else. The other 99%.
I don't think it'd be hard to take a list of games that are still in early access that came out 2 years ago. Like anything that came out in 2015 that's still in early access, take a hard look at those. And anything before that. Like if it's 2015 or older and it's still in early access, I think you have full reason to scrutinize it. If your
Yeah.
game can't be finished in development when it was already in a demoable state 2 years ago, you're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And then maybe not even like shut them down, maybe just like have some kind of help support line, have like a Steam developer help page, like, why aren't you guys getting your shit done? Are you having
Honestly-
problems? You have like
honestly,
some kind
I
of
think-
community forum?
I think I would just go like an IMDb or a Rotten Tomatoes kind of thing and just be like, just give them a rating. Like, we just rate them.
Yeah.
That's all we do. Because frankly, the logistics involved in rating all of those, again, I agree with you 100%. It's not hard. It is time consuming. And you have to hire a bunch of employees to do that. And then make sure you have insurance and benefits for all of them, and overhead, and a lot of things, because running a business ain't easy.
That's temp. Like you said, temp. That's a temp agency thing. You just
I
have a bunch
suppose,
of
yeah,
people,
temp it
because
out.
like the initial
Or hire people
like
to sign up.
curation of all of that is going to be the huge time sink, but like the regular maintenance of it is probably not
Yeah.
going to be that bad.
Let's
And
go to the
I'm
rest
sure,
of
and you say that, but I'm sure there's people that would willingly, like, hands up, would you do that? Like, take some time out of your day to be like, all right, we're going to let you get access to these early access games to fiddle around in them for a little while, see where they're at in progress, talk to the developer, and then give it a rating. And I'm sure there'd be a ton of people that would sign up for that.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think the most realistic way to do it, not necessarily like super likely to pull it off, but if you could, it would be great. Like basically Wikipedia. Wikipedia doesn't have employees. It's massive and it's amazing and it's functional and it's 100% like a little bit of donations a year, and like I think 2 digits of people worldwide actually employed with thousands of volunteers
Yeah.
just making it work because they care. Like, that would be the thing. Like, basically, just be create a central hub for a community. Like, I'm gonna put up a real forum with structure and hire some mods, and then let all the people who already do this come to one place and use a single set of standards and guidelines.
Hmm.
Like, that would be pretty feasible. Again, probably a lot more work than I'm giving it credit for, but a
Mhm.
lot less work than the other things that are way more work.
Yeah.
So,
Like
Yeah.
starting up an entire new platform to host games on and then dole out money based off of milestones. Yeah, that could be a little hard to set up.
Just a little bit. Uh, do we have any closing thoughts?
Uh, your
write your
mom's
high
legs.
What?
I don't know.
uh,
And I'm out.
My holding thought: write down your ideas or record them because writing is hard, and then get sober, and then listen to them or read them before you go open a Kickstarter. So
Yeah.
otherwise, you get laughed at by lots of people on the internet, like EarlyNinja.
Yeah, like early Ninja. If you're listening to this, A, why? B, good idea. Good idea. Like we're early grants. This is a good idea. This is definitely needed for the problem of early access. Something needs to be done. I think lower the bar just a little bit. Bring down your expectations.
Lower the bong just a little bit, and come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll probably. I mean, I get it. I've been there, man. You think everything's awesome, do it. You
Yeah.
just give it a day.
Yeah.